Are you planning to go to Mardi Gras in New Orleans? I am so excited for you. We just got back from our first trip to experience Mardi Gras. Now, I've been to New Orleans. This was my 7th trip, 4 times in the last couple of years, but I had never been during Mardi Gras season. So I was a little intimidated. I had images of wild debauchery and unsafe streets and was a little nervous about our trip, but rest assured, it was nothing like that. I felt completely safe. It was such a great vibe. It was so fun to experience. And I'm going to share with you what we learned during our trip to Mardi Gras to help make it the best experience for you. Let's go. So first of all, when is Mardi Gras? Because it changes every year. Well, as you likely know, Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday. Mardi for Tuesday and Gras for Fat, and it is the day before Ash Wednesday, which is the first day of Lent. Lent is the 46 days, or 40 if you don't count the Sundays, leading up to Easter Sunday. How Easter Sunday is determined every year changes because it is the first Sunday following the first full moon after the spring or vernal equinox. Did you get that? So there is a wide range of when that Mardi Gras actual day can occur, starting as early as February 3rd and potentially landing as late as March 9th. But what is interesting is that Mardi Gras, although it's one day, is actually a season. And so they refer to it as Mardi Gras season or carnival season, which technically begins on Three Kings Day, which is January 6th. And so you could potentially have a season that lasts 1 to 2 months. During that time, there will be lots of celebrations, mostly parades, which is what I loved, that you can attend and participate in. It's really important to note, it's not just one single day. In fact, Mardi Gras is considered the last day of the carnival season. How can you determine which parades and events to attend? We recommend, and it was recommended to us by a local, downloading a parade tracker app. These parade trackers are great because not only do they show you all the dates of the parades that are available to publicly attend, many of them are not in downtown New Orleans, so check the location as well because some of them you may need to travel outside of the city to attend, but they also show you updates as far as if the route or the timing of the parade has changed, as well as parade progress, because if you want to know where the parade is along the route, they can be several miles long, and it may be a couple of hours before they get to where you are stationed on that route. So it's really helpful to download these parade trackers. You will see them starting on Three Kings Day, January 6th, leading up to Mardi Gras, and some of them even following Mardi Gras, occurring after Ash Wednesday. For me, the biggest question whenever I attend an event is what to wear. I love dressing up and I love a theme. I love an excuse to go over the top or really dress for the occasion, but I also don't want to be too out of step with what locals or what is expected. And I was delighted to see, both on Pinterest in my research and in person, people dress up for Mardi Gras. We were staying at a hotel for business purposes, and in the hotel, you'd see people come in with face makeup, feather boas, sequins, ruffles, fringe, you name it. People love dressing up for Mardi Gras. The 3 colors of Mardi Gras are the purple, the gold, and the emerald green, and you will see those in full effect and in lots of combinations. Things that I saw a lot of were furry leg warmers, sequined jackets, embellished captain's hats with lots of beads on them. I also saw a lot of people wearing face glitter, so go ahead and lay on some glitter if you like, as well as lots of jewelry with those colors, beads, bangles, you name it. What we didn't see as much of that we expected to were face masks. Before we attended Mardi Gras, we had the stereotypical image in our minds of a mask like you might see at a masquerade ball, either on a stick or tied behind someone's head. We didn't really see people in the streets wearing masks. On the floats, you did see people wearing masks as part of their crew costume, but not really so much in the streets. So I would say if you're considering wearing a mask, leave it behind. It's gonna impede your vision and you need to be able to watch your step, catch the beads, and take it all in. While the costumes were colorful and flamboyant for sure, one thing to be aware of is the weather in New Orleans in February and March can really fluctuate. And even the time that we were there, which was just a couple of days in early March, we saw temperatures ranging from beautiful sunshine and 70 degrees to freezing cold, wind and rain, and 50 degrees. Layers are definitely gonna be your friend so that you can peel it off if the sun is shining and lay it on if it starts to get cold or wet. We definitely recommend a foldable poncho or something that's going to protect you from the rain. Check the weather before you go because it can change so much. If you love the whole costume idea, but you don't want to go overboard, a simple t-shirt with a Mardi Gras theme would be perfect. We saw plenty of gentlemen that weren't so into the theme and they just had a shirt on, and that of course is just fine. I had ordered items prior to arriving in New Orleans. However, the gift shops were abundant with different items that you could purchase there. If you don't have time to shop before you go, you can certainly head into any of the local gift shops and take your choice of wild items to wear during Mardi Gras. The most important thing to wear, however, are comfortable shoes. The French Quarter and much of downtown is blocked off from traffic during the bigger parade days. If your hotel is in that area, you're just gonna walk to the parade. If you're coming in from out of town, you're gonna have to find a parking space outside of that downtown area and hoof it. You are going to be putting some miles on those shoes. Make sure they are comfortable. This is not the time for heels or any kind of beautiful shoe. Just make them comfortable. We were there for the 2 days before Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras Tuesday, and each of those 3 days we walked over 20,000 steps and 10 miles. Now we were going back and forth to the French Quarter and to our hotel and then back and forth to the parade, so you might not put as many miles on, but you are going to walk quite a bit. What should you pack with you when you head out for the day to catch some of the parades or take in some of the festivities? Number one, wet wipes. I heard this recommended and I threw some into my little shoulder bag and was so grateful for them. New Orleans is sticky, y'all. I don't know how better to explain it. But when you're catching things from the parades, we'll talk about that in a minute, or you're getting a syrupy drink, or someone is handing you something, or you have to use a porta potty, your hands just get sticky. And I was so grateful for those wet wipes more than once. Number two, you are going to be using a porta potty at some point during your time in New Orleans. There's just no getting around it. The porta potties I ended up using all were fully stocked and not too bad, but I did have toilet paper with me just in case. So throw in a couple tissues or some extra toilet paper in the case that you have to use a porta potty that isn't stocked. Again, mine were all stocked, so I got really lucky and I didn't have to use mine. But if mine weren't stocked, I would have been very grateful for my supplies. I have heard that the number one reason people get arrested or detained during Mardi Gras season is urinating or defecating in public. My understanding is they really crack down on this. So that is the one thing you want to make sure you are not doing is using the facilities outside. I guess they're not facilities if they're outside, but you know what I mean. Because there's so many changes in weather, I recommend both sunscreen, sunglasses, and a little foldable poncho that you can throw in your bag. And as far as a bag, you want something that's going to be close to your body and not fall off. I would not recommend a shoulder purse. I would recommend either a fanny pack. Lots of people wear fanny packs at Mardi Gras. I am not kidding. And you can even find some in the stores that are gold and festive, or just a crossbody bag, something that can't get knocked off of you. Streets are crowded, you're gonna get bumped into. Not that I was necessarily worried about taking it. I did feel safe the whole time we were there, but that it would fall off and get dropped in the crowd. Another item is a foldable grocery bag or something that expands that you can store the items that you're going to catch from the floats in and carry back to your hotel or wherever you're staying, because you're going to get a bunch of stuff. You don't even realize how much stuff you're going to collect. I'll get to that in a minute. It's kind of crazy. And then finally, the biggest recommendation I have is a portable charger. You will deplete your phone's battery so fast with all the videos, all the photos you're gonna be taking, and you're gonna be so grateful you have that fully charged portable charger and you're not stuck without being able to record those memories because you've drained your batteries. Charge it up, throw it in your bag, and be prepared to take the most amazing videos. If you're new to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and drop me a comment. Let me know Have you been to Mardi Gras in New Orleans? And if so, what tips can you share with all of us? If you haven't been, does this video encourage you to consider going, or do you already have plans to go? If so, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. Okay, where do you go to watch the parade? As I mentioned, please download a parade tracker. That's going to show you the parade route and also where it is at that particular time. We ended up attending 5 different parades in the time that we were there, 2 on Sunday, 2 on Monday, and then 1 on Mardi Gras itself. For the first 4, the 2 on Sunday and 2 on Monday, they all followed pretty much the same route, and we very easily found space on St. Charles Avenue near Lafayette Square. So I would recommend going to that area if you are looking for a place. You can purchase grandstand seating, which puts you on a bleacher and guarantees where you'll be seating during the parade. There is a benefit to that, and they are not that expensive. I think some of the seats we heard about being sold for $100 for the whole day. And with that, you are guaranteed a location, and your family, if you've got a big group, can all be seated together. You do have the ability to sit on those stadiums versus we were standing the whole time. And you do have a higher view in many cases. Not only are you able to see the floats unobstructed, but also we noticed that the people throwing the items from the parades tended to throw a little bit higher. And so if you were raised up, sometimes you had a little bit of an advantage at catching the items that were being thrown. We didn't purchase any seating. We just stood on the side, and our experience was just fine. So I could see it going either way. If you really wanted to elevate your experience and wanted that guaranteed seating, you could do that. We just stood the whole time. If you do have an opportunity to see the parade from a higher vantage point, I would recommend it for those reasons. Where should you stand along the parade route? Well, definitely somewhere where you have good visibility of the float. Also, Nick's recommendation was to not stand behind somebody with higher or longer reach than you, because as the beads or the items are being flung from the parade, if that person has a better reach than you, they're gonna block and grab whatever you're trying to reach. Okay, so what do you actually do for Mardi Gras? Well, number one, if you are going to see the parades, which is most of what Mardi Gras is, you need to eat first, because once you get to your space in the parade, you're gonna just be kind of stuck there. So either bring snacks with you, and certainly we saw lots of families that appeared to be local with coolers, with lunch bags. They had picnic baskets. They were set up to be there for several hours. If you're not local and you don't have the ability to bring in food with you, I would just say go have a meal before you get there, because once you're on the route, you're kind of stuck. They do have street vendors selling things like corn dogs and popcorn and that kind of thing, but they're sporadic and not the healthiest. So I definitely recommend getting some food either before or after you go to the parade. You also probably want to bring a water bottle or something to drink. Again, you're going to be there for a long time and you need to stay hydrated. We did see many people get to the route early, and certainly the earlier you get there, the closer you can get to the actual parade route. And the benefit to that is you can catch things, catch the eye of the people on the float, and they're more likely to throw in your direction, and you're more likely to catch because someone isn't sticking their arm up in front of you. So there is a benefit to getting there early. We saw many locals with folding chairs getting there early and sitting down with their family or just a couple of friends and being there for hours before the parade started. Again, the 4 parades that we attended, we were able to see from pretty much the same area on St. Charles Avenue. So on Sunday, we attended the Crew of Thoth, which is spelled Thoth. It looks like Thoth, but it's pronounced Toth. I don't know. We've got our to-go cups, espresso martinis, and we're headed to a crew, which is a parade, the Crew of Troth. Sounds like truth. I don't know if I'm saying it right. That was my first parade, and it was fantastic. I was so excited to be there and so excited to be part of the vibe. We didn't really know what we were doing. We just kind of stood there. We didn't have any beads on us. By the end of the parade, we were covered in beads. We actually walked up while the parade was in progress, so we weren't super close to the parade line, but we were still able to get a great view, maybe 4 or 5 people deep, that we were still able to catch quite a few beads and get a great view of what was happening. So what are you gonna do? Number 1, you're gonna eat first. Number 2, you're gonna get there early if you can. And number 3, you're just gonna find a place and then sit there and wait for the parade. And that's why the parade tracker is so nice, because you can see how much longer it's gonna take before the parade actually gets to you. I'm not the most patient person, and so that was helpful for me to actually see where it was and not just keep, is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? We were planted in the same spot one day for like 4 hours. And of course we were taking trips to the bathroom and getting food and walking around a little bit, but not really. I mean, we were just standing there. So my recommendation is go with someone you like to talk to. Thankfully, I was with my boyfriend, Nick, and he's a great conversationalist, so we did not have a dull moment. When the parade's going through, you're going to be catching things, you're going to be taking photos, taking video, engaging with the people around you as you're applauding or clapping to the beat of the music, just enjoying the parade in general. What will you see on the parade route? While you're waiting, we engaged with the people around us, and there definitely is a festive and inviting vibe. People feel like they're on holiday. Many of them are locals, many of them are visitors, but there is a celebratory feeling to being there, which is super fun. So people are very chatty and talkative and willing to share their experiences or memories of Mardi Gras. We found that delightful. Talk to your neighbor, find out what their favorite parade is, find out where they're from, and you'll get some great stories, I'm sure. Once the parades begin, you're going to see the different crews. Now, crews are the people that make up the parade, and it's spelled K-R-E-W-E. K-R-E-W-E, yeah. Not C-R-E-W like you would think. So a crew is a parade organizer, and there are different crews that put together different parades. Each crew will put together a parade that consists of multiple floats and potentially bands. What we saw for the 5 parades we attended was it alternated between bands or walking dance groups and then a float. And so you'd get a float and then a dance or a band group following it, and it would alternate between the two. This was a lot of fun because all the floats would be accompanied by the music coming directly behind them or in front of them. The first parade we saw was a crew of Toth. It looks like Thoth, but it's pronounced Toth. I don't know. People were dancing, there was music, they were throwing things. Something I was very surprised about from these floats is you would have the floats covered with people with bags of items that they would be throwing out into the audience and attendees. I had the stereotype that the attendees would be just crazy, drunk, flashing all the time, and beads being thrown. So part of that is true. Where we were next to Lafayette Square was very family friendly. There were lots of families, young children, and very little debauchery, if any at all. There was no flashing, there was no nudity. All of that was in the French Quarter. We'll talk about that in a minute. I was so surprised. I had the stereotype that it was only gonna be beads and that you had to flash to earn something. Well, thankfully that wasn't true because I was not gonna do that. But you didn't have to do anything to get the beads. All you needed to do was make eye contact with the people that were throwing them, and they would acknowledge you and throw them your direction. They weren't just throwing beads, they were throwing all kinds of stuff. So what are the things that you can catch from the different floats? I did make a video in my hotel room in New Orleans of all the things that we caught during the parades. Here it is. 70 strands of standard beads, a creepy mask, a pop socket, 15 strands of specialty beads, 2 drink cozies, a cute mask, 12 strands of light up beads, a light up bouncy ball, 2 decks of cards, a light up frisbee, 3 pairs of socks, a plastic glass, a grocery bag to carry it all in, a fedora, a light up flower, a grape football, jambalaya mix, and a light up cowboy hat, and a painted coconut. If you have been to Mardi Gras, what are the craziest things that you've caught or you've seen other people catching from the different floats? I would love to hear what other things people have caught. The other thing I noticed is the crew members often would taunt you with their items. So maybe they had the big beads or a hula hoop or something that was perceived to have a little bit higher value. They would often just kind of show them to you and like, hey, I got this. Hey, I got this. Like a bullfighter would taunt a bull and show you their item and then not throw it to you. It kind of felt like it was a power trip for them, like, hey, I got the goods and you don't. Now, could we go purchase these items for like $2 at Amazon? Yes, but in the moment, you really, really wanted them from the crew. You wanted them to throw them to you. Throw me that $2 hula hoop. I need it. The second parade we saw was the crew of Bacchus. Our friends Rachel and Buddy, who live there, had another friend, Kelly and Shane, and they were able to get us at a higher view. And we just love being at that higher elevation. I do feel like they throw more up high. And so we were able to catch a lot more items being at that higher elevation. I definitely recommend that if you're able to do that. It also gave a different perspective and you're able to really take in the whole view of the parade. So if you're able to pay for a higher seat or get invited to a balcony, I do recommend taking advantage of that different view. It was really neat. I also really loved Kelly's take on being a local from New Orleans.
We walk slow, we talk slow. We eat too much, the music is too loud, but it's full of passion. And it's the most beautiful city you've ever met in your entire life. It really is.
When we were there, Crew of Bacchus had a parade master who was Shaquille O'Neal. However, we missed seeing him in the parade because we were late getting to our spot on the route. But I heard that he was there, and that would have been really cool to have seen him. The next day, which was the Monday before Mardi Gras, we saw two parades, the Crew of Proteus and the Crew of Orpheus. The Crew of Proteus had a theme to it, which was kind of nautical. We noticed a lot of the floats had elements of the ocean or nautical mythology, and so it was super fun to see that theme carried throughout the different floats. Proteus was a fantastic parade, but Orpheus was gorgeous. The flower decorations on the float were just amazing. Our local friend Rachel said this is her favorite parade because it's so beautiful, and I definitely understand what she means now. After seeing the different parade floats, the Orpheus parade was probably my favorite as well, just for the beauty of the floats. I thought they were so well constructed and themed, and the lighting and the painting of the items. The floats had more of a floral theme to them, and it was just beautiful. Side note, if you're a parade person like me and you love learning about floats and how they're constructed and even seeing the floats after, or maybe you're super interested in Mardi Gras but not able to get to New Orleans during Mardi Gras season, I highly recommend visiting Mardi Gras World. And at Mardi Gras World, you can see how they put together the elements that go on the floats. You can see past pieces that have been on floats. And it's amazing to walk around and see all those elements that have been on floats on display. The final parade we attended was actually on Fat Tuesday or Mardi Gras Day. It was the Crew of Zulu parade. And we actually watched from Poydras Street. It had a different route. It actually started at 6:30 in the morning. Oh yeah, I was dressed up in my full garb at 6:30 in the morning, ready for the Crew of Zulu parade. It is 6:30 in the morning, and the parade has been rescheduled due to high wind warning. So we are out here with a ton of other people getting set up for Zulu. This is one of the oldest and most renowned parades in the city of New Orleans. One thing that we noticed with the other parades that we had viewed on St. Charles was there were a lot of visitors. The Crew of Zulu seemed to be mostly locals, and so we felt like, okay, this was actually the big local parade. The reason it started so early was high winds were predicted. It was scheduled to be a morning parade, but starting, I believe, closer to 9 or 10, and they bumped it up several hours to avoid the high winds that were predicted. My understanding is that parades aren't necessarily canceled for rain, but they can be canceled when winds reach over 40 miles per hour, which it was predicted to do the day that we were there. In fact, we were under tornado warning the rest of the afternoon. The Zulu parade is also called the Walking Warriors Parade, and it definitely has an African vibe. And in fact, one of the key mementos that they throw out to people are painted coconuts. These are hollowed out coconuts that are then polished and painted by hand, and it is considered quite a prize to catch a coconut. But the person next to me got hit in the head with a coconut, and she was so sore, and I felt so bad for her. I'm sure that really, really hurt. So that is a big takeaway from these parades. Don't bend down to pick anything up. It's not worth it. Number one, you don't know what it landed in. It's probably in something very sticky and very gross. Number two, you leave your head vulnerable to being hit by the next thing that they're throwing. And that could be either heavy beads, which I can attest hurt a lot when they hit you in the head, or number two, a coconut. My goodness, would that hurt if it hit you in the head? Yes, it would. So actually by midday on Mardi Gras, we had participated in all of the parades that we were going to see during the time that we were there. If you're a local or you have been to Mardi Gras, which parades have you attended and which ones are your favorites? Ones that we heard about that we weren't able to attend this time that definitely piqued my interest were the Crew of Chewbacca, which is a Star Wars themed parade. Oh my gosh, I would love to see that. And also the Crew of Barkus, which is a dog-themed parade. And you know me, I love dogs, so I would love to see that one. I also learned while we were there that crews are not just parade organizers, but they're societies and organizations, almost like a sorority or a fraternity. Some of them are made up of just men or just women, and many of them also have a philanthropic effort along with their parade organization. Many of them have requirements or restrictions for participation. Many of the positions become limited and very desirable desirable. And so if you want to participate in a particular crew, if it's a popular one and very restricted and exclusive, you might have to either know someone or be on a waiting list for a number of years. And then even so, there might be an interview or qualification process. Kind of crazy, because in the town I live in, you can just go sign up to be in the parade. I think you pay 25 bucks and get a couple friends and you wear a hat and now you're in the parade. Not in New Orleans. It's a whole thing. I was both super surprised and also very intrigued by participating in a crew. And now I kind of want to be in a crew. I don't know which one to be in though. Now, what about the debauchery and the craziness? Everything I've described so far has been very family friendly, and I certainly would recommend taking a family or children to participate in the parade aspect as long as you aren't going down to the French Quarter. So what happens in the French Quarter? Oh, the rumors are true. So down in the French Quarter, it's definitely a different vibe. You definitely have a lot more people drinking, smoking. We did see a lot of people exposing themselves for beads. I mean, it's what you would think. This was my 7th trip to New Orleans, and I've been to the French Quarter each time. It wasn't that much more crowded than any other Saturday night. It was more crowded, but maybe like 10%. It wasn't like you couldn't move. It wasn't that everything was at a standstill or that you felt unsafe or uncomfortable. It was just maybe a little busier than what I've seen it before. Then again, I'm recording this in 2025, and in January of this year, we did have a terrible incident where a driver drove through the French Quarter and killed several people. And so because of that, maybe it wasn't as attended this year as in past years. I'm not really sure, but I will say I felt completely safe. There were plenty of police officers. There weren't that many people. Yes, there were crowds. Yes, it was busy. Yes, it was loud. Yes, it was rambunctious. I never felt unsafe or uncomfortable. That all being said, I would not bring children down to the French Quarter. That was definitely an adult 21 and over zone. So it's pretty well delineated though. If you are bringing a family or you're just not up for that exposure, just don't go down to the French Quarter and just stick to the other areas and you'll be just fine. We were in the French Quarter both during the daytime and after the parades at night. And during the daytime was probably just as wild as during the night, although maybe not as much drunkenness. Something that was really fun in the French Quarter that I haven't seen other times I've been in New Orleans is spontaneous dancing breaking out. We were at Pat O'Brien's and a jazz band came into the courtyard there, and then everybody just started dancing, and it was so fun. The same thing happened at Lafitte's blacksmith shop. Now, we love Lafitte's and we've been there many times, but usually it's where we end up at the end of the night, and there's a piano bar. It's a great chill place to end up at the end of the night and chat with friends. But not during Mardi Gras, it's a party scene. So we walked all the way down the French Quarter to get a chill drink at Lafitte's. And we were met with people just dancing in the street. We were like, oh, this isn't the chill Lafitte's that we know, which was great to see and super fun, but just not what we were expecting based on our other visits to Lafitte's. But it was Mardi Gras, so everything is a celebration, and we loved it. Okay, my final tip, if you are a person that loves processes or behind the scenes or just seeing a little bit extra about how things function, I recommend staying for the cleanup. It was crazy to us and blew our minds how efficiently and quickly the city of New Orleans cleaned up the streets. After the parades came through, the streets were littered. As you can imagine, all the broken beads that people didn't pick up, people just leave their trash in the streets. The people on the parades were dumping out their plastic bags and throwing their plastic bags on the street. It was mayhem as far as trash goes. I have never seen such piles of litter and trash following an event as I did in New Orleans. In fact, I told Nick I'm so conflicted with this whole experience because the partier and theme lover in me loves all of the energy and the pomp and the circumstance and the tradition, and I love all of that. The environmentalist in me is so challenged and abhors all of the waste and the plastic and the leftover garbage. So it's really a unique experience. The amount of trash is insane. If you've been to Mardi Gras, let me know if you love it or hate it for those reasons. But regardless of your opinion of the trash, there's definitely a lot of it, and it's really interesting to watch the cleanup crew and how quickly they clean it all up and get it ready for the next day. So as we were wandering around after the parades were over, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and watching the systems and the process and all the people that were involved in really transforming the streets from littered with garbage to ready for the next day, it was really really impressive. Somebody has that down to a science and really coordinates the whole city to turn it over and do it again the next day. I was so impressed. In addition to participating in the parades and celebrations of Mardi Gras, before and after the parades, you can take advantage of everything else New Orleans has to offer. And if you haven't seen this video about the top things to do in New Orleans, I recommend you watch it next.